I am moving to the United States of America. Well, hello everyone. I'm Jamal Mektabe, but you can just call me Jam. I'm a session and touring musician, a music producer, and a music director here from Sydney, Australia. And as stated by the title of this video, I am indeed moving to the United States of America. Now, this isn't going to be my first time going to the United States. In fact, this is going to be my fourth time going there if you count Hawaii. But if you don't count Hawaii, this is going to be my third time. My first time actually going was all the way back in 2019, and I had the amazing opportunity to live in Nashville, Tennessee and do music while I was there. But what I want to do in this video is talk about the journey so far and what I'm going to be doing while I'm in America in this tenure and for the foreseeable future of my life. And it's a story about God's goodness and His faithfulness throughout the ups and downs, and just what I hope and intend to do with music and to connect with people when I get there. So let's take a little backtrack to 2019 and a little bit beforehand. So for those who haven't been following my journey for a long time, I actually had the amazing opportunity, like I said, to go to the United States for the first time in 2019. But prior to that, I'm someone who grew up loving music, and I knew that it's something that I wanted to do for my career. I've been on this journey of pursuing a career in music, and I knew that this is something that God placed in my life about 10 years ago when I was 15, 16. I've grown up with music my whole life. I've grown up playing it. I grew up around it at church and beyond. My mom's a worship leader. My brother is an electric guitar player. He's the one who got me into electric guitar. My cousins play an instrument, and we all grew up doing music in church. But for me, like, the real passion for music really just came from my mom and my brother, and just the musical influences that I was surrounded with. It was from Christian worship music, starting with Don Moen and Darlene Check and Hillsong and Delirious, and then it went over to ABBA and the Bee Gees and James Taylor, Eagles, Santana, and then when it came to my brother's music, it was punk rock, so you had everything from Muse to Switchfoot to Linkin Park, Relient K, Blink-182, Yellowcard. Yellowcard's my favorite punk band of all time. And when it came to learning guitar and discovering so many people through magazines and when YouTube came around, then it became people like Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen and Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, Joe Satriani, Eric Johnson, all these amazing musicians. And I just knew that I loved music and I wanted to continue to do it. And when I finally got into senior high school, I had a music teacher named Fatima, and she kickstarted my music career by throwing me into a pro-amateur musical production where I got paid to play guitar for Hairspray the Musical. Absolutely wild for a 15, 16-year-old kid who's never worked a job in his life, but his first job was to play guitar for production and get paid a whopping amount of $500. 500 is a lot for a teenager. Yeah, it was a really big deal, and that kind of really sparked interest on me to do music as a career. Like, I was like, wow, you can get paid to do music, but also, like, I gained such a respect for the hard work behind it. And so, yeah, I've been on this music journey ever since. I knew that it's something that God called me for. And, after high school ended, I tried doing the whole music college thing, and I actually wound up dropping out of 2 music colleges and tried to pursue doing music. And I started trying to go to jam sessions and finding connections. And, living in Sydney, Australia and trying to do music here, it's so hard to make it as a proper living. I mean, music in general, to do it as a living and as a career, it's not for the faint-hearted. But to do it in a place where you have a lot of talent, but also a very, very small pool of opportunities, it's very, very hard and discouraging. And it was like, what can I offer more than just doing music at playing in pubs and clubs and like wedding gigs? It's like, surely there's more to music, because my dreams to do music is I want to be able to do stuff like tours. I want to be able to play on people's albums, and I want to connect with people and work in different studios and create music that is meaning, and to be able to travel the world doing music, and having that kind of God-given dream and those desires, and you know that this is something that you're called for. It's definitely not something that people find common, and nobody in my circle or people thought it was a realistic thing, and they've tried to discourage me and try to figure out different things, but reality, I'm just not built for other things. I don't know what else to do with my life other than just music. So one day I was actually working in a factory with my dad was working for about 3 years, and in that time frame, God kind of gave me he placed something in my heart that, like, doing this job will not only be able to provide for me to go on this journey that I've been called for, but he's going to open a door where I'm going to be able to do music somehow, or just get a taste of what my future is going to look like. And it's during that time where I dropped out of uni and was working that factory job, I was doing gigs on the side. There was one time I did a huge gig one night where I did an overtime shift from the factory, and I finished at like 5 a.m. right? And then I had a rehearsal in the morning at 9:30 a.m. at church for next Sunday morning, because we rehearse at my church at Saturdays. But then I had a gig at the Metro Theatre in Sydney, which is a really awesome venue. It was a big album launch, by the way. This wasn't like a small show. This is like a big album launch, and I was trying to make these rehearsals while trying to work night shifts. And then after rehearsal at church, I had to be at the venue at 2 p.m. and then the show didn't start till about 8:30, 9 p.m. and then I didn't finish, that gig till about 12, 1 a.m. and I got home at like 3 a.m. So, that was kind of like what my life was like, trying to do music while trying to work a side job. But yeah, God gave me this side job through a prophetic word, and so I decided to be faithful with that job, and this job also allowed me to invest into the youth at my church and to build an online profile. So because of the whole Sydney music scene, thankfully I have amazing music mentors around me, people who work in music and social media, and people like Nigel Hendroff, who is, for the last 8 years of my life has been my main musical inspiration, and my mentor, and someone who has taught me everything I need to know about music production and music directing. I'm very blessed to have people like that. So because of having the internet with me, I've been able to create connections with people online through various guitar groups, and primarily through these church guitar groups, being able to be someone who plays quite well and has a love and passion for gear. I'm blessed that people have been able to message me, and I've become good friends with these people online, that I've wound up just connecting with them, and majority of those contacts that I made live in the U.S., primarily in Nashville. So throughout those years I was working in the factory, one of those things I was thinking about, it's like, oh man, like, if I were to do music overseas, like, if it's in the US, is it like, do I go to LA? Do I go to Nashville? I mean, a lot of these contacts of people I'm living in are in like LA and Nashville. So one day on my 21st birthday, I received an email from a pastor friend of mine. He was a head pastor of the denomination my church used to be part of, the Foursquare Gospel Church. And Pastor Wayne said to me, "Hey Jem, I have this email that I want to send to you, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's from God." And this was about October in 2018. So I open up the email, and it says, "You are invited to go to this church conference in May something 2019, and it's located in Nashville, Tennessee." And that right there was my confirmation that, oh snap, okay, I think God is calling me to go to Nashville and to see what's there. So, as the months went by, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to tell my family, because also the year prior, my brother just moved overseas and moved to Abu Dhabi, And then it's like, how am I going to tell my family that I'm wanting to go overseas, and I've got this, big thing placed in my heart from God, So, like, as the months went by, my pastor friend actually winds up telling me about the plane ticket to go to Nashville during that time. So I saved enough money and I bought that ticket, and then I did some research and tried to find a visa where I could stay in Nashville or just in the US for like longer than a month. So I found a visa where you could stay for 6 months as a business tourism trip. So I applied for that visa and it got booked on the spot. Now this is around February, and I have my visa, I have my plane ticket, and I haven't really explained to my family what's going on. And then when I finally explained to my family, I'm like, guys, everything's gonna be okay, and I'm gonna be meeting up with people who I've just connected with online. Reality, I didn't know if I was. But during that time, I was just messaging all my friends who lived in Nashville that I've made friends with online. Say, hey, I'm planning to come to Nashville in May. If you have any place for me to stay, or if there's any music or any opportunities and you're looking for someone to play guitar on, or any instrument or anything like that, please let me know. I'd be able to be open to anything. And so it wasn't about 2 weeks before I was going to fly to go to Nashville that a friend of mine that I made online named Spence Peppard video calls me. Now, Spence Peppard is the guitar player now for country star Scotty McCreery, and he's also played with Jason Crabb and many other artists. Spence called me and he said, hey man, I heard that you're planning to come to Nashville and you're looking for a place to stay and you're looking for some music stuff. But let me tell you this, I'm actually about to embark to go on a tour with a guy who was a top 5 finalist on American Idol the year prior, and his name is Cade Fainer.
Cade Fainer has been leading a rock revival here on American Idol with roots in cowboy cool.
Can't fight the temptation when you get the vibration. Won't do you no good.
Now, Cade Fainer is now the husband of country superstar Gabby Barrett, but prior to being married to Gabby, they were on American Idol together. So yeah, Spence tells me that he's about to go on this tour. It's called the Southern Hallelujah Tour, and they're looking for someone to fill in on guitar and bass. And so I'm like, all right, I'll take it. So as soon as I arrive in Nashville, now I've made a friend. I didn't even wind up going to that church conference, but I only stay in Nashville for 2 days, and then I'm straight out on the road on that tour for that whole month, and I go to so many different places. You name it. I went to Louisiana. I've been to Texas. I've been to Texas 5 times. I've been to North Carolina, South Carolina, Omaha, Nebraska. I've been to Iowa. I've been to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I've been to Kentucky. I've been to, so many random places. I've been to Alabama. Alabama wasn't on that tour, but just throughout my whole tenure. So, that door opened up. And then now when I finally lived in Nashville, I got in contact with my friend Daniel McCall, who messaged me on Instagram. Actually, his dad, Minor, did. Daniel McCall is a guitar player for the Christian band Sidewalk Prophets. Amazing band. He opened up a place for me to live. So I wound up living up in that house, and then, doors of opportunity keep opening up. One day I'm hanging out with Stu G from Delirious, who's one of my guitar heroes. And then I'm hanging with Michael Pope, and then I'm hanging with Michael W. Smith, and then I'm out doing, work with people like Drew Shirley from Switchfoot, and I'm hanging out with just so many different people in the music sphere, Matt Podesla, all these people who inspired me, going to the NAMM show, and, meeting people like Andrew Goucher, Doug Doppler, and being connected with all these people who have inspired me. And during those 6 months, I've had the amazing privilege to be, taken out on different shows, different studios, working with, incredibly talented and inspiring people, and getting flown over to places like Michigan and, Chicago to record, albums, and, getting called to go to studios and playing the guitar and people's albums, and, all these things that I've dreamt of doing, God really opened up the door for. And in that moment, I knew that America was going to be the place where, if I'm going to do this music thing for real, this is the place I got to be. And there was no doubt in my mind that that's where God placed America on my heart, and where I want to be and what I want to be doing. But then as soon as those 6 months end, and I had the greatest time of my life, and, I remember when I arrived at Houston Airport going back to Sydney, I heard God say to me, you're not going to go anywhere for a while. And boy, was he right, because the next 3 years, landing in 2019, at the end of 2019, everything happened. COVID happened, lockdowns happened, my mom had a stroke, and because my mom had a stroke, all my priorities shifted, me taking the risk of not taking any other job but trying to do this music thing, trying to set up my website and trying to do things like this whole YouTube and trying to do productions online, like all that came to a halt. And even my musical dreams, it all came to a halt. And it was actually really, like, those next 2 years was a really hard time. My family, we had to sell our house. Mom's recovery is going really well, but yeah, during that whole time period, lockdowns, wasn't allowed to go to church. And even that time as well, I got appointed as being the music director at my church on staff. That was, at first it was hard to take, because it was like, man, like all these other people, that I've done music with, or no one's really calling me, or they say, when am I gonna come back to America? Or even people in Australia, that no one's really asked me for gigs or any musical opportunities. And it really disheartened me, because I'm just like, man, like, what am I gonna do with music? But I continued to persevere and stay strong. But back to the music director thing at my church, and at first it was like, God, is this really it? Is this like where I'm peaking now? What am I gonna do with this? But staying faithful to God and being obedient, He is the one who opened doors and helped me create ideas, to do things during when our church was in lockdown, create amazing online worship services. And when we got back to church being open, helping a new sound system and training up worship teams, and being able to do those music directing videos that you see now, that is a result of those hard and difficult times and staying faithful to get to where we are now. But yeah, in 2022 the world was opening up, and it wasn't until I got a call in September of 2022 when my dear friend Alec Reese called me up. Now, Alec Reese is a big part in the story, because in 2019, he's the one who flew me over to Michigan to record his church's worship album. I did all the pre-production guitars, and then I'm the one who played the live album at the live recording, and then the studio overdubs in Nashville. And the way that I came to know Alec Reese was actually through Nigel Hendroff. And Alec was Nigel's third-year intern at the time when he was studying at Hillsong College. So I met Alec here in Sydney, and we've stayed really good friends together. And in 2019, when he went back to America after he graduated, he told me, like, if you ever come to America, feel free to hit me up, because I would love to fly you over and do music with you. So thanks to Nigel, all these doors have like really opened up for me. And in 2022, September, Alec called me and said, dude, we have a position opening up for the music director at my church here in Central Wesleyan. They fly me over, and it's so good to see everyone there again. And these people are really offering me a role to work at this amazing church and in this amazing community. And not only that they're curating this role for me to do music full time. But so yeah, everyone, that is where I'm going. So this time I'm not moving to Nashville, Tennessee, but I am moving to Holland, Michigan. I'm going to be doing music full time, but I am also going to be working as the staff music director at Central Wesleyan Church in Holland, Michigan. And what is amazing, if they have really curated this so that I am able to do music. And I'm so grateful for their generosity towards me, and their belief in the calling of God in my life, and what they believe that I'm able to help them out and the people in the community. It's crazy. They're the ones who paid for my visa. They're paying for my flights. They're paying for my bags. They've got me a place to live. They've got me a church and a church community. They got me a job with a salary. They've given me a studio that I can do work at. And also, if other opportunities for musical things arrive once again, they're able to allow me to go and do those things. So really, like, God has taken me on this journey, and it's really just a story about how good God is and His faithfulness towards me. And I believe that this is a story that if you're someone who is trying to find hope, or you're someone who wants to step out in faith, that this is a testimony to show you that when you continue to trust God and you continue to have faith in Him, that He's the one who opens doors for you. And with that being said, for all you American people, I am so excited to be coming back, and I am going to be living in the US for the foreseeable future. And if you are looking for someone to do music with, or if you're looking for a guitar player or music producer to play for your music, or whatever opens up, I'm gonna be available for all that. Guitar demos, gear demos, all those kind of things. I'm excited for what the future holds, and you know what God has in store for this whole journey. And I'm excited to be working with the wonderful people at Central Wesleyan in Holland, Michigan, and you know, helping them create music, and also their Sunday services, and even training up teams, and being able to just be part of that community, and to be in the US in general. It's just a dream of mine. I've never felt more at home and never felt more accepted in this whole music journey than until I went to the US, where people really take you seriously as a musician. And I'm grateful for their generosity towards me. Like, people over there really treat me like family. So that is the journey so far and where it's going, and I'm excited to see what is gonna happen. So for all you Americans, I will be seeing you all very, very soon. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and to hear my story and just the journey that God's taken me on. And I'm really, really excited to see what is going to happen. So saying bye to my good old home of Sydney, Australia. You know, I've been here for 26 years of my life, and saying goodbye to my family and my friends. And you know, it's just one guy going over there. You know, it's just me, some clothes, and a whole bunch of gear, moving there, and a dream and a God-given calling. And you know, it's gonna be great. So see you soon, America. This time not for 6 months, but for real, for Lord knows how long. And I hope it's for the continuation duration for my life. See ya. Peace. God bless.